Hello, friends. Today I'm going to talk about trust in business. Well, actually, I thought I had covered trust pretty well in the two sessions that I did earlier. But then, over the past 10 days, I've received two phone calls, a few messages, but those were not as direct as these two phone calls. They were both from founders of startups, two different startups, whom I mentor. One of them is a startup which has an innovative product, and he's in the process of building the product, and he's just got his first round of funding. And he called up and asked me that how does he build trust, especially now that he has an additional stakeholder who has put in money and therefore is going to be wanting to make sure that I don't do anything wrong with the money. And the second one was from a startup, or should I call an entrepreneur, who has just started a new online business. And this business works mainly on trust. And that's the jewelry business, something that I'm familiar with and where I know how important trust is. Now, since I have a stake in both these ventures, I thought it necessary to fulfill their request and talk a little more specifically on trust in business. And while I was going to do this just for the two of them, I felt on speaking to a few other people whom I'm working with, startups basically, and they all felt that this would be interesting because sooner or later, they would need to know about how to build trust in their business and with all the people that they work with. So to begin with, let me say that the maximum emphasis I can put, okay, that trust is absolutely essential, okay, and it's the most critical element for success in business or in career and to grow in any of these things. Trust is the first thing that comes to the mind of customers, vendors, your team members when you are starting to connect with them. There are two things that at least I think of when I connect with anybody. One is how much can I trust that person? And the second is that person competent and capable of delivering what I'm looking to get from that person by associating with them? Now, out of these two factors, we normally tend to focus on one of the factors which is easy to measure, so to say, and which is the factor of competency. We generally tend to believe that if I'm competent, everybody is going to love me, everybody is going to want me, and therefore I'm all set. However, as I said, for me, both these factors, trust and competency, and for me, trust is more important. And I will explain in a minute why I say so. But what I would like to continue saying is that while we put in a lot of time, energy, and dedication to building our competencies, we fail to do so with building our trustworthiness. And that can be a big deterrent to business in the future. Now, why do I say that both these critical factors are important, but that trustworthiness is more important than competency? Because, and I was asked this by people when I consulted with them, saying that, but if I'm competent, then only I will be able to deliver anything. Well, this would have been very true a few years back. But in today's world, and you're all going to laugh and smile, and some of you are going to get worried with the next statement I'm going to make, is that in today's world, with the way AI, artificial intelligence, is progressing and by leaps and bounds, I tend to believe that competency at the end of the day might become just a commodity, which I, not knowing anything about the subject, will be able to gather enough information, help, references to become very competent in that particular topic. But trustworthiness is not something that AI is going to be able to give you or create for you. And therefore, at the end of the day, the way I see things, it is trustworthiness that is going to give you a competitive advantage and not just plain competency. Okay, so having said this, we therefore need to be able to build and maintain trust to be able to succeed, truly succeed in our business or career. And it is going to be the one most. From two, I'm now coming to one, because I'm saying expertise and competency might become a commodity, which you can get anywhere on AI. Okay, so it's trust that is going to be the most vital for your business. And therefore, you need to know how to build and maintain trust. Unfortunately, competencies are taught to us when we study, whether it is engineering, whether it is medicine, whether it is accounting, whatever it is, competencies are taught to us. But nowhere, not even in the best business schools, which are supposed to bring out great leaders, is trust taught. And I'm not surprised, because basically trust is something that is very, very difficult to even define. Then how do you teach trust? And by giving this talk on this episode, I am not going to teach you how to build trust. I'm going to give you certain hints that you can use in actual life so that you can build and maintain trust. Because at the end of the day, if you are not perceived as trustworthy, if you're in a career, you're not going to be entrusted with more responsibilities, because they don't trust you. And if people don't trust you and are not perceived as trustworthy, I'm sure your clients or customers or vendors or stakeholders will be very wary in dealing with you in any way whatsoever. So, how do you build trust? I think the first step to building trust is what I call the SDS formula. S for say, D for do, and S for show. Say what you will do. Because if you do something without saying what you are going to do in advance, I have noticed that more often than not, people tend to think that you did that thing or achieved success as a fluke and not as a planned intention and strategy. So say what you will do and then do it. Do it to the best of your ability, do it to success. And then show what you did. Make sure that you communicate to everybody whom you are interacting with on that particular task or project that this is what I said and this is what I did. And by showing this, you are going to tell people that, boss, you can trust me when I say that I am going to do this. And when you do it more than once, that trust level keeps on increasing. And that increase is very beneficial to your business or career. So follow this SDS, say, do, show method diligently, and follow it so regularly till it becomes a habit. It is something that you will do inherently. So just follow the SDS system to begin with. So what are the other things that you need to do to build trust, especially as leaders? And this is what both the people who called me up are really They are leaders because they are the founders of the business. So what do they do to build trust? The first and foremost thing that I would suggest is to build positive relationships. Stay in touch with the issue, especially both of y'all. You are in a startup or you are starting a new project as an entrepreneur. You need to be sure that you are in touch with the issue. There'll be plenty coming up. So you need to be in touch with the issues and the concerns of others, all the stakeholders. As I told you, the first guy is worried that now that he has a financier involved who has put his funds into his project, that financier is going to constantly worry about whether his funds are safe or not. And the second person, his entire business is based on trust. So be aware of the issues and concerns of every stakeholder and how it affects them. And whatever results you are looking for, ensure that they are balanced with the concern and the empathy that you need to show. Don't just worry about the results. Don't blast off a team member who didn't deliver on time or who didn't deliver 100%. But consider the concerns and issues that that person had and be empathetic when you are talking to him and giving him feedback. You need to create an environment of cooperation amongst all that you work with. Okay? And this goes a long way into building trust. Resolve conflicts as and when they arise. And when resolving them, make sure that you do not carry any biases and that you are fair and even-handed when you resolve the conflict. Give honest feedback because that's what's going to help you to grow. You are just starting off. If you don't give honest feedback, even if it is bad, yes, when it is bad, make sure that you give the feedback in a manner in which you understand. You're not just berating your team member, but that you understand and in a helpful way so that he improves on the error or the mistake that had been made. So, and there is always scope for improvement, even if somebody has done something good. Compliment him. Great job done. And then don't use the word but sit down, talk to him, and tell him what he could have done better. There is always scope for improvement. And this is very, very important when you give the feedback. So what else do you need to do? Build trust as leaders. You need to exercise good judgment. As I said, when you're making a decision, when you're taking a call on something, you need to make that decision and give the feedback in a just, honor, unbiased manner. So be sure that you exercise good judgment at all times. And you yourself need to develop the core competencies and expertise in the area in which you are working. Because only then can you deliver superior results. And only when you deliver superior results is the investor who has invested in the startup or the customers and vendors who are going to work with the person in the jewelry business are going to be able to trust. And be consistent at all times. And this I've said so often, walk the talk. You can't say one thing and do it. Again, another thing I've said very often, honor your commitments and promises. And if for some reason you are not going to be able to honor them, make sure that you inform the person honestly, without prejudice, and without giving unjustifiable excuses. And be willing to go above and beyond. And if in spite of doing this, you just cannot honor your commitment and promises, then I tell you with complete confidence that that person sitting across is going to understand what you are saying. You need to have the right motive for everything that you do. and keep the best interest, not just of yourself, not just of your organization, but of every stakeholder who is involved in your project. Keep their interest in the forefront. By doing that, you will automatically come out as being somebody whom they will trust. And use the right ethical, legal, legitimate, and morally sound means to reach your goal. Don't cut corners, don't do anything illegal. Yes, I know it is important to achieve results, but don't. Refrain from doing that if you want to maintain the trust. I know so many people who lose trust. I know people where they've been working for an organization for so many years, and yet they have not been able to make anything out of their life. Okay, but the company or the owners of the company, the partners that they work for, live life where you can't even imagine. So do everything right. And do everything in a way that creates a positive impact. Just letting them know is not enough. Then it needs to create an impact, because that impact stays in their mind for far longer. Admit when you're wrong is something that's very important. Because if you start giving excuses when you're wrong, what is your team going to do? The same thing, they learn from you. Again, something I've said very often: listen more, speak less, and at least when you speak, first listen properly. Be appreciative. Being appreciative, giving compliments, recognizing the efforts and the good results that someone delivers is much more than giving him just money or a salary increment. And be transparent. People love, they may get hurt in a short term, but at the end of the day, they will realize that by being transparent, you are doing the right thing. Remember, the path to building trust, there are 3 steps that are involved, or 3 kinds of trust that you have to think. First is the calculative trust. Okay, where a person is going to evaluate and see, by trusting you, what comes to the table, what are the benefits, what are the cost benefits, what are the execution benefits. Then there is cognitive trust, where that person is going to trust you, and as you perform and as you deliver, and you show that you have the knowledge and expertise to be the leader. And then comes effective trust, okay, which will be generated on the basis of the care and concern and empathy and understanding you demonstrate when you interact with the others. Okay. Ensure as team leaders, now this is especially for startups, and in fact, everybody who carries within a team, ensure that the entire team has the same objective. Do not create silos. Let them all work together. Conflicts will erupt, but as long as they're healthy conflicts, it's okay. But ensure collaboration. Create an atmosphere, create an environment where ideas, thoughts are shared openly. And at the same time, challenges and concerns are also shared openly, because then you'll find solutions. So basically, trust is central to a team. Lead all the way with honesty. Do not be hesitant if you have to show your vulnerabilities. Everybody, you are human. Okay? And keep taking baby steps. Trust takes a long time to build, and be a watchdog. Do not bark or bite, but be a watchdog so that you don't falter and the team on the whole doesn't. Focus, therefore, at the end, I would say, focus on building trust as much as you focus on building your technical expertise, or maybe even more. As I said, in today's world, AI will make expertise a commodity, but trustworthiness is going to be a competitive advantage. If you have any further questions, especially the 2 of you guys, do call me, do message me. And anybody else who has questions on this, please feel free to call me and message me. Have a great evening.